программе используется ненормативная лексика, контент только для взрослой аудитории с устойчивой психикой и политически активной позицией. Мнение спикеров программы может не совпадать с мнением авторов проекта или участников чата. Прямо сейчас настоящие новости важнее, чем когда-либо прежде. Поддержите честную альтернативную точку зрения, ток-шоу в прямом эфире. Ваша финансовая помощь будет способствовать возрождению журналистики и поможет защитить наши свободы для будущих поколений.
Друзья мои, приветствую всех. CHAT Video Production снова в эфире. 5 часов и 2 минуты Нью-Йорк, Вашингтон и Майами. Техас, Чикаго, Теннесси 4 часа и 2 минуты, соответственно. И сейчас 2 часа в Калифорнии. Мы начинаем нашу встречу. И я сейчас сперва рад приветствовать и пригласить в нашу студию. И она уже появляется, Ларису Свечин. Лариса, приветствую тебя. И давай немного на русском, поскольку... Сейчас мы только одни говорим по-русски. Немножечко объясним, что сейчас будет происходить у нас. И ты представишь всех тех кандидатов, которые уже в студии сейчас у нас собрались, для того, чтобы понять, ну, насколько важны эти позиции в принципе, да, и для чего так важно вообще сейчас обращать внимание именно на то, что вот сейчас происходит вокруг нас, и у нас идут второй тур выборов сейчас. Я тебя приветствую. Спасибо, что ты пришла к нам. И я уже поделился тоже с нашими зрителями, что мы будем делать по вторникам программы, где мы будем побольше говорить об этих вещах.
Спасибо, Ник. Да, вот как ты сказал, сейчас очень важное время именно не только у нас в Санни-Аус-Бич, но вообще везде, по всей Флориде и, может быть, даже по всей Америке. Как считается, local elections, выборы, которые local, очень важные. Вот эти люди именно... они решают, сколько налогов мы платим, они решают, какие дороги мы будем чинить, они решают, что мы будем делать со школой, кто получает бизнес-лайсенс. Вот именно то, что мы каждый день живем. Конечно, важно, кто президент, но президент не решает, сколько у нас полицейских в городе. Так вот, у нас будут выборы как раз меньше, чем неделя, 6 дней. Это runoff для места 1 и 3, комиссар 1 и 3, это который я должна была withdraw, когда я выходила на выборы на мэр. И я хочу представить, вот, ну, мы сейчас будем слышать от Джерри Джозеф, который выходит баллотируется на комиссионер первый сит, и Грег Капра, который на третий. Вот эти две позиции очень-очень важны, потому что сейчас кто там на нашем commission, это две женщины, которые я оба знаю, одну я знаю даже больше, чем другую, много лет, и их посадил наш мэр. Она как раз выиграла, вот у нас, когда были выборы, на 28 votes. Опять, это очень важно, чтобы понять, какая разница может быть, что кого выбирают люди. И те, которые говорят, может быть, мне это не надо, я только выхожу, когда на президент, они должны понимать, как это важно. Вот даже с первого этого митинга, конечно, они об этом, может быть, будут говорить, которые вот эти две женщины уже там присутствовали, потому что они appointed, стратили, я думаю, не меньше, чем $300 000.
Вау, вау, вау. И все эти люди потом будут определять и помогать мэру на выборах, а мы знаем, что это вот совсем уже скоро состоится. И то, что происходит сейчас вот с тем человеком, который занимает этот пост, это, конечно, ужас. Это вот эти социалистические субботники и все, что связано с тем, что даже строительство шелтеров в таком прекрасном районе, как Sunny Isles, которые наверняка люди не будут довольны тем, что стоимость квартир упадет, и вот такая концентрация бомжей в таком прекрасном месте будет происходить.
Да, я бы сказала, что люди считают, что всегда все остается так же, как есть, и все будет хорошо и красиво. У нас прекрасный город. Я хотела сказать, что у нас прекрасные полицейские, у нас прекрасный департамент, который есть. Но уже началось потихоньку это все рушится. И это потому, что решения, которые вот именно эти люди делают, и когда не обращаешь внимание, даже на пару месяцев, это очень влияет на что мы сейчас будем видеть у нас, на property values, на что происходит на дорогах. И я бы хотела сказать, вот я вчера была на meet and greet, где вот эти оба мужчины были, и одна из этих женщин решила прийти, которая сейчас commissioner. Ее не пригласили, но они разрешили там пару слов сказать. И она сказала, мэр выбрала, и я ее, не знаю, как по-русски сказать, puppet.
Куколка, которая управляет рукой.
Да, это очень страшно. Она это даже не скрывает. Даже если, может быть, я не согласна с этими людьми. Вот даже я и, во-первых, Джерри, мы были против друг друга, мы баллотировались на мэр. Он был мой оппонент. Я с ним не всегда согласна на много чего, но я понимаю, что вот это все равно важно, чтобы мы не все были как один голос.
Да, и я представляю сейчас и хочу пригласить в студию CHAT Video Production. Hello and welcome, Greg Carpa. This candidate for commissioners, the seats 3, right? Hello and welcome to our show, Greg. How are you?
Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. So we're interested in the main questions why the Republican establishment does not support so important local elections. Why is it possible? How it's possible is we know so many candidates. Just talking about that. Where is the establishment support?
Well, they've contacted myself, and they say that they're going to be making a voice heard in the very near future, and I guess they better get to it.
So why? So we know how important is that. Larisa just told us that the local election is very important, more important than even Congress election or even the presidential election. So tell us why it's so important for people who live in the Sunny Isles, for example, and there is no difference actually when you live in Sunny Isles in Florida or even in New Jersey or New York or Florida or California, because pretty much the step by step the same. The elections has this pretty much same problems as we have here in the Sunny Isles. Tell us why we have a second round right now. What's the reason? Why?
Well, there's a twofold question that you asked. Why we all have the same problems is because the country has shifted in a way that they've been misled by liberals and Democrats. And maybe in part, I think that there was this corruption. It seemed very unusual for President Trump to have been so far ahead, and we wake up in the morning to find out he lost, and everything that went on with looking into that, and the Supreme Court not willing to look into it deeper. So the country is awakening in a big way as to what occurred, that they have been fooled. We see the prices of everything that we buy going up, whether it's gas, whether it's food, whether it's clothes.
Inflation, yeah.
And everything seems manipulated. I mean, we know it's manipulated. I shouldn't say it seems manipulated, because what was the first thing that President Biden did? He shut down the oil. Why did he shut down the oil? Because he wants to manipulate the price of gas. He wants to manipulate to a certain extent what people are being paid, because the liberals are saying, hey, you shouldn't be driving a car that burns gasoline. You should be, they want their Green Deal. So what do? They make gasoline so expensive. It's a very manipulative thing that is going to come back to hurt them, because things are not taking their natural progression, right? You have politicians that are now pushing their own agenda upon us, right? They're trying to, make things move rapidly into what they want, and they don't care about us or how it's affecting us and our pockets. And so they're very comfortable. They're getting their paychecks. They get their health insurance. They have no worries. So the pain they inflict on us, they don't care. But what do we want from people that we empower to represent us? We want them to care about us, not hurt us. And so how does that relate to what's happening in Sunny Isles right here at home? It's the same thing. We have a mayor that won marginally, maybe questionably. She did get some support, which I don't know if, Jerry, I don't know if he's here or not, but Jerry went to a meeting last night and he said, hey, openly, and I commend him for saying, I made a mistake, because his little push is the reason why she's in power now. And what did she do right off the beginning? She tried to grab the money. Her and her appointed puppets.
$8 trillion that just to support the IRS because of inflation, and so many things. We go to the every time we go to the store to make a shopping, we see how raise the prices. So yes, and wait for the products get smaller, and so at the same time the Biden regime, I named it the Biden regime. It's like a Stalin regime, because it's pretty much the same, because there is so censorship everywhere. But you know what, my question is, how can we change the situation from our side? How can we change it by the local elections? Because I know the system in the United States built from the very, very low level to up, not from the presidential level. What is your opinion? Tell us, share your opinion. How can we change the situation? Because we see what's happening right now in Canada, for example. This is how we change the situation. But not really even, so many politics support that, and, give the help to that people to, for example, how to fight with Trudeau, for example. But we have the same situation in the United States, and so many people turn on their trucks to Washington, D.C. We know there's more than 500 moving for the Washington, D.C. next month.
Yeah. Well, look, part of the problem and why this occurs time after time is that because people become comfortable. And what politicians do is they want us to be comfortable until they don't. So we need individuals like myself, first of all, that are willing to speak up. And with that, others can be informed, because look, everybody is the same. As long as things seem okay, just okay, until it really hits your pocket, which is what's happening right now. And the mistake that the Democrats have made in their timing of their calculation is it's all hurt our pockets. And the November elections that are coming, we're not going to forget this. And so people are going to rise up, and I believe they're going to be, what people say is going to be a red wave. And so that once it happens, hopefully it does happen, we shouldn't be comfortable, because we've been harmed. And now we need to continue to put people in office like myself and like Larisa that are going to continue with our Republican conservative values to rein in government, to rein in spending and wasteful spending. And that's what we need to do. And so it's a constant battle. And so we have to remember not to become too comfortable and complacent, because the same thing will happen again.
So I got a question from our viewers. Alice Williams, she's asking, Greg, we understand perfectly why Democrats behave the way we do. The question is why the Republican representative of Florida don't make any efforts to help people like you to win?
That's a good question. They perceive Sunny Isles Beach, not to be as a key place to come down here and support Sunny Isles Beach. Whereas if it was a Miami-Dade County election, they would be down there for, who's running for mayor. And that's, I guess, the truth of what it is. But if they did, and we had the governor come down here, or a representative of the governor come down here, people would begin to maybe respect the smaller elections more so. But they're busy and they have to, I guess, make their choices as to where they put their efforts. But we would love for them to come down and support us.
Nick, can I just chime in here really fast?
Yeah.
And I'll speak in English so that Greg can understand me. They are aware of this election. They were not aware before, and they are stepping up more so than they ever did. But this area has always been traditionally Democratic area. So it was just sort of left by the wayside. And now that they're started Republic Beach, we're going to start getting a lot more support. And, they have assured me helping Greg. I don't know what that means, but because we have so little time. But there is starting to be some attention towards us in South Florida, more so than in the past.
So, Larisa, I have a questions to you. Please, please explain why so many politicians have to change from Republican to Democrats, for example, and how it's possible you can go you can win some special neighborhood only if you Democrats, and some people who is really Republicans, it don't even say about that. They say, I am Democrat, please let me win. And then when I win, I just start to do something at least.
Do you want me to say it in English or in Russian?
In English, yes, it's okay.
Okay. So, like I said, South Florida has traditionally been Democratic, despite the fact that Florida generally votes red. And so what ends up happening is, because we have a system where in order for you to vote in a primary, you have to be part of that party. So outside of local elections, which are nonpartisan, like what we have right now, we're nonpartisan. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. For Senate, for House in Florida, you have to be that party. So for instance, when I wanted to vote for the primary here for Senate, because there was no Republican running, the election was the primary. That's it. And so in order to do that, I needed to change to Democrat to be able to vote in that primary. And we have many people that I call secret Republicans, because they know that in order to win in these large places, you have to be a Democrat. Because we're talking about places like North Miami Beach, Miami Beach, Key Biscayne. Those are primarily Democrats who come out and vote. It doesn't mean there aren't Republicans there. It just means that the Democrats are very organized there. And for that reason, the people that run for office tend to be Democrats, not necessarily because they are by choice. It's in order to win that seat, because if there is only a primary, there usually is no Democrat against a Republican. It's just the primary.
So, but we can change that situation, right? Because if some Republican even doesn't say they're Republicans, that's not really right situation. Because how can we win? How can we turn the Congress on the Republican side? How can we change the situation with so many mayors around, even if we don't say we're Republican?
Well, that's the question, right? That is a very good question, because it means that in local elections, when representatives at the state level start seeing that at the local level, more Republicans are winning, then they understand that the general public in that city is voting for Republicans. And that's what we have right now in Sunny Isles Beach. That's exactly the fight we have right now in Sunny Isles Beach. And it's not just here. I will say it's in Bell Harbor. I will say it's even in Aventura. It's time for people that are true to their values to come out and speak up about it.
Okay, so we see that Jerry Joseph is here, but his camera is off. And Jerry, this is live broadcast. Of course, it's all honest. If we have technical issues, we have it. So, but we have an honest conversation. Please, if you can turn on your camera, please join us. Yeah, I see you here. Or just please restart your computer. So Alice Williams asked the questions to you, Larisa. So you found this absolutely justifiable switching from one party to another. How can we trust politician who change his colors like a chameleon?
It's a great question, Alice. So for me personally, I can only answer for myself, not anyone else. I've been a registered Republican since the first time that I registered when I was able to register. The only time that I switched to Democrat was to vote in the primary. And because I was already in office when I voted, I didn't think that it looked very good to flip-flop at that time, and I left it as is. And a lot of people got very upset with me during the last election as to why I did not switch back to my true party, which is the Republican Party. And I said, I'm not going to do it for the purposes of this election. The day after election, I promise, no matter what happens, win or lose, I'm switching back. And that's exactly what I did. But I totally agree. If you're switching back and forth, like Charlie Crist, who's running right now for governor, people don't trust you. I'm very open and honest. It was for the one election, but lifelong, I've always been a registered Republican. If you look back at the history, it's there since I was 18. And I won't tell you how old I am now.
Okay, let's talk about fraud on election. And Vladimir Lerner, he is asking the question. So Democrats run a big cities, even if a state is Republican. And they didn't know that before, only after election 2020 fraud. So many fraud in 2020, Greg. How can you control now? I know it's very important thing, and all depends from commissioners. They can control that situation in a small our local elections. A couple of words about that. How to protect our voters? How to protect the election at all itself?
Well, again, it comes down to having people in office that
I even know if it's possible in the United States. By the way, I came from Russia. I know it's possible in Russia and in other countries. When I know it's possible in the United States, I said no way. I can't believe that. I honest with you.
That you cannot believe of corruption.
It's possible. Yes, in the United States.
What do you mean? Human beings?
Maybe
and
I'm
money?
stupid. I don't know.
It's universal. Doesn't matter if it's Russia or America or Australia. Look, in all of my time, I have seen individuals get into politics that I truly believed in. And then when they get there, well, it's two things. Is it corruption, or is it that they just can't fight the system? That it's overwhelming to them and they just give up. And so you need people that will not give up. That, let's say they have nothing to, what do they have to risk? So one of the things that, like, I'm not a politician, but I'm educating myself. When I hear things of interest, for example, I hear that certain commissioners, they won't do this because their re-election time is coming. And I think to myself, why? Why would you not speak up for what you believe in? And if the people want you out because you believe in, well, so be it. So if I'm elected, everyone's going to hear what I believe, which is going to be, I don't want to see money being spent on foolish things, like this graffiti being painted on bridges for $1 million, when we have so many other things, whether it's the police, whether it's children, whether it's, our elderly that need money. There's a pot of money sitting there that I wasn't aware of. I was shocked to hear this. And then, one of the other commissioners for the other seat, her husband shows up. We don't know who it is. So there's corruption everywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's a little city, whether it's a giant country, who the individuals are. So
But
You
but
need,
listen, Biden told us there is no corruption when it's done. He told, what are you talking about? It was a very honest election in American history.
well, I don't think too many of us here believe that. I mean, when you see such a huge gain, when I watch people with boats with flags and lines and lines of people and tens of thousands of people out there cheering for Donald Trump, and he's ahead, and I wake up and he lost, and then we see that people were being stopped from viewing what was happening, where the windows were being covered. I mean,
By the
do
way,
they think that
why
we're idiots?
senators? By the way, Greg, why senators not attended to that election? Why they not do something? I know only Giuliani just do something, but he is not a senator. He does not have power, and so many from that part of the election that they tell me, okay, go away, and after he's just came back with the prosecutor order that only he can do something, but in general there is no control of that. And
So
Trump, by the way, he told from the beginning, if it's supposed to be male voters, there is the fraud around, the fraud coming up, but he does not stop that. Why
okay,
it's
so
happened on the
why don't people speak up in Russia? Same reason here. Maybe in Russia you disappear. Maybe somebody puts something in your tea. Here you lose your job, you get sued, you're become financially ruined. So there are different ways of controlling people, and it all comes down to fear. So and when look at what happened to Mr. Trump. He said, I'm going to drain the swamp. He didn't realize how deep the swamp was.
Oh yeah.
And the people that were around him, they, and so, one of the things, and my wife doesn't like it when I say something that maybe I'm being objective about. What did I say? Well, I think he should have been more suspicious about the people he had around him, because he was bringing people around him that was still part of the establishment. But who was he going to bring? Because the establishment knows how to get around. So it's a process. And maybe what happened where Biden came in, maybe we'll look back on this and say, this is what was necessary for people to really see how bad things are in this country.
Okay, and we got message, and it's a little bit explain why Russians think about, because Russian. Let's explain why Russian is not going to the election. Maybe we were naive when we came to the States. They told us there is no corruption in USA, and we all escaped because of the corruption in Russia. And we truly believe there is no corruption. But when we see that situation, when we came through election 2020, and we understand there is corruption, and we have to do something. We have to fight on that. How can we fight?
Education, people that'll speak up to educate them. So whether it's politics or whether we want something that we want personally, anybody who's a marketer, and politicians are marketers. What does any marketer do? They find out what you want to hear, and then they tell you that. Right? So I wrote about this in one of my letters. I write many letters to the community. And so one of the letters that I wrote to the community was to say, look, you have someone that's running for office that's using what I called keywords. They're telling you what you want to hear, that we're going to make Sunny Isles an art destination. In other words that they used, it had nothing to do with what are you going to do for me, or tell me something about yourself. It was about trying to manipulate people into thinking a certain way. And it was the same thing when you came here. Oh, there's no corruption. Well, of course there is. It's just now it's so evident that everybody sees it. And it's become evident in Sunny Isles Beach as well.
Nick, if I could add to that, please. I will say that obviously, as someone that came from the Soviet Union, but grew up here. I will always say that America's the best country in the world. So it always seems like it always will be better than any other country that you come from. So the feeling, of course, is that there's no corruption because compared to where you come from, it's much better. But democracy is like an orchid. It is our duty to watch it and cultivate it and protect it. As soon as we step away from it, and I saw someone in the chat said they don't like to be accused of not participating, that they do vote. I love that. I applaud that. It just means getting more involved, telling more people to be involved, because we don't want a police state. Our democracy is set up as republics, actually. And so every state has the ability to act almost like a little mini country. And that means that all of us need to speak up when we see something is wrong. We need to run for office when we don't like something. And when we don't like someone, we need to vote them out. We still have that, thank God.
Yeah.
So, still having problem with Jerry Joseph. I see his signal is weak, but we can continue. We hope Jerry is, back to us. Elena Babrusev, she's asking about Arizona audit. You know that situation, and we just some of the people they very very rely on that audit, and they think and they can change situation actually, but that help for the states to change the law first of all, right? But there is no change situation in general. Biden is gonna be on president of the United States, I mean, till sometimes. But she's asking, does anybody know what is going on in Arizona with Maricopa County audit? They spent almost a year and so much money to review all this fraud, and nothing happens then.
I'm not familiar. I do not have an update. I don't know what's going on in Arizona, but I will tell you that whatever is happening there, I do not believe it's going to change who is the president. That's going to remain the same. And I got to say, at the same time, you don't want to be in a situation where you don't know who the president is going to be. That's a scary place to be as well. So whether you agree or don't agree, this is where we are. And so in order to change it, we need to come out and vote. That's the way we change it. And when people say to me, how do you fight fraud? How do you fight corruption at the polls? How do you fight fraud in mail ballots? I say we have to come, twice as many of us have to come and vote in order to fight it.
But people was thinking about what, it's a change. It's helped to change the local law to protect votes, elections, local votes, elections. But Biden wants to change it. That's HR1 law to for the voters to just vote without ID cards, voter by mail without any good cause on that. It helps to Democrats to falsificate the whole process. That's why people, so rely on that audit for. But the same situation, Texas changed the local law about the elections.
Locally, you can change it, and we actually did that in Sunny Isles Beach because a year ago when I ran for my commission seat at that point, I had an opponent that wasn't actually qualified to run, and he very easily changed his voter registration online without any proof that he lived here in Sunny Isles Beach. So now in Sunny Isles Beach, in order to run for office, you have to prove with additional documentation that you are in fact a resident. So locally, you can make small changes, but locally, you can't make changes at the federal level. That's still at the federal level. Look what's happening in New York. They're allowing non-citizens to vote.
Even illegal people vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think about that? Share your opinion with us. What do you think about when the Biden wants to destroy election system at all and make the illegal people make voters and, decided who's going to be our mayor, who's going to be our congressman or woman, or even our president?
It's another form of corruption to keep power and control. And so many of us believe that Look, it's moving toward America, moving toward, whether you call it socialism or communism. They eventually gain more and more control, and the government tells you what to do, how to live your life, and that's not what this country was built upon. And the history of the world is that eventually all superpowers come to an end. And this very well may be the end of America as a superpower if things don't change. It doesn't mean it has to happen. It just means, like what Larisa said, people have to come out and vote.
Okay, another question about Republicans, about Rhinos. So it's not about Republican or Democrat anymore. We are all see now easily some Republicans twisted to Rhinos, and we know, some even statement. Ted Cruz, for example, about elections, about the situation J6. I mean, when the people came to Capitol and tried to, support that rights to say no to, some situations, and also how to understand what the people who just came and they told us I'm Republican and
Sure.
everything, yes, can twist it to Reno, because if before we go to the elections and we see and we check mark under the Republican's name, but not anymore, we have to be careful.
Look, what happened there was terrible. As someone that's lived in this country my whole life, is this really happening? How could it happen? How are people walking into the White House to even think that this is something that you should even think to do? But what happens is when people feel that they're being violated, and I think this country was so awakened by the corruption and what was happening, when President Trump was exposing this, and they saw that there was a light, and all of a sudden it was pulled away from them, and they revolted. And revolutions happen in a much more dramatic way in other parts of the world where things have changed. And that was a glimpse of this country and people revolting in a way that I guess is subdued compared to what's happened in other parts of the world. But it was people awakening to what's happening. And I'm just hopeful that in November of 2020, we really do see this voters come out and change.
And also, maybe Larisa, maybe you share your opinion as well about Rhinos.
I will say that, and to support what Greg said, what happened in Washington, D.C. was very scary for a lot of people on both sides, right? So we certainly don't want to live in a country where anyone that's an elected official, whether we agree with them or not, should be in fear of their life. However, it was a magnifying glass as to the pain that people are feeling in our country and how they feel that they have no voice left. They felt they had to go to such a horrible extreme, which I in no way support what they did. I want to be very clear. I do not support violence, but it shows that that there are people that are willing to protest, that are willing to show up, and there just has to be a way for Republicans to garner that energy and turn it into votes and into activism. So whether you call somebody a rhino or not, I'm more interested in the people that we have now in Sunny Isles Beach in South Florida and all over the country that are registered as a no party affiliation. Why are they registered no party affiliation? We want them to register as Republican. I strongly believe that they side more on our side. So it's getting them activated and feeling like their voice is being heard.
Okay, we got a question from our viewers, so maybe that's to Greg closely. I'm concerned about our commissioners trying to circle our energy use and ban plastic food products in parks and the beach. We don't want to be regulated. We want to enjoy our quality of life wherever it happens. So life and let life. What is your answer is?
Yeah, well, this was something that the current mayor, as a commissioner, started with her being part of this Green Deal. And it's not that we shouldn't be concerned about the environment, but we don't want the government telling us everything that we can and cannot do. And so we need to be less regulated. But, the enforcement of, we don't want to see people throwing plastics on the beach or in the water. Give them the ability with receptacles. But, we went to one of the local restaurants, and the owner there was saying, you have no idea what this has cost me in cost of having certain types of straws of this law. And he said, well, I have to stay in business, and this is just another form of inflation that maybe is less evident to all of us. But go to a restaurant today, and why do certain things cost more? Well, it's because the operator there, his cost went up 4 times, and so he passes it on to us. So
Okay, Greg. So the only 1 week until the election. Please tell us what you want to do and explain everything to our voters who listening to you and who's gonna vote for you. This is your time.
I want to get elected and then get on the commission so I can speak to everybody who can come to the commission and hear and ask questions and know that they're going to have someone at seat 3 that is going to speak up, that is not going to cower down to a mayor or anybody there that I'm concerned about. Am I going to get reelected? I have to speak my mind. So, and it doesn't matter, whether, I'd prefer Jerry Joseph get elected, but who's ever there, whether it's Jerry or whoever, I'm going to say what I want to say, and I'm going to question things that are happening there openly. And I believe this is one of the reasons that the current mayor is so aggressively doing things to campaign against myself that no mayor has ever done in this city, even to maybe her own detriment, because politicians are afraid of someone that's willing to tell the truth and expose what's happening. And that's exactly what I will do. And so I'm not going there thinking that I know certain things are happening that are wrong, but, and the first thing that starts, if I'm a commissioner, is Mike Grandinelli, who has devoted 20 plus years of his life to the police force of Sunny Isles Beach. They're going to explain to everybody why that man is not being made the chief of police. And it's going to be open, and they're going to be questioned as to their reasons as to why. And then as far as this bridge painting or anything that happens while I'm a commissioner, and it's what's supposed to happen, an open discussion as to why we're spending this money. Is it truly needed? Can we save for something else? So I say, if I'm elected, I'm going to be speaking up for everybody because I am them. Meaning I have the same concerns about how government is run, and we're going to talk about it openly.
Yes, but what about the next mayor election in Sunny Isles? What you gonna do? Are you gonna support Goldman? Do you like what Goldman do right now? Just tell us a little bit more about that, because we are in a shock. The Russian society.
Let me tell you. You know what? First of all, I don't believe Mrs. Goldman should be the mayor. All right, and I worked as hard as anybody to get Larisa elected. And it's unfortunate that certain things happened, that she lost by such a marginal amount. But I, myself, my wife, my friends are going to work super hard, harder than we did, to make sure Larisa becomes the mayor of Sunny Isles Beach in November.
Tell us why it was not possible what was not happened in that situation with that right in 28, just only 28 voters between Larisa and Goldman. Just tell us why it's happened, in your opinion. Just please be honest with us.
I know why it's happened. Corruption. Because Dana Goldman went to certain individuals and made promises to them, which she didn't keep to some of them. And Jerry Joseph admitted this in a meeting last night, and I commend him for doing that. He was open about it, and he said, I made a mistake. And Jerry Joseph was one of the key factors. I don't know if that he was the key factor, but he turned a lot of votes and enough votes that made Goldman win. And for me, it was a hard move for me to forgive that. I mean, politics is politics. And I said to Jerry first on at the beginning, I said, look, I'm not the kind of person that is going to sell myself in a, you can't promise me something like that. I don't want it that way. But at least he admitted it, and I commend him for it. But he was a deciding factor. He worked so hard at the polls that night, and he did make a difference. He made a difference. And so I'm hoping his passion, whether he gets elected or not, he turns that passion to get Larisa to be mayor in November, because I will be working that hard. And if I'm commissioner, it's going to be heard even louder.
Yeah, that's all depends on commissioners. Another questions to you, Greg. Maybe you can just be more specific and tell us. I know some specific neighborhoods between Democrats and Republicans, and in Florida even. So, and it's hard even to do something if you're Republican, if you for the Democratic area, for example. How it's also even possible. So, because so many people always told us already, we have politics that pretty much all the same. It doesn't matter you're Republican or you're Democrats. And that elections in Sunny Isles, this is the good example where the people tell that there is no difference between Larisa Svechin and Goldman, because they're all politics doesn't matter. So tell us about that. Yeah, because it's very popular topic, especially in Russian society.
Right. Well, we know that there's a huge difference. It's an interesting question, and as a moderator, that's your job, of course. Look, when I know them both, right? So I know them personally. And so we know most politicians from a distance. And so we hear the things that they say if we see them on TV or there's some video, and we get an impression of who this person is. And their job is to market themselves and provide the impression and belief in the listener that will make them vote for them. Now, because I've met both of these individuals, I know that there's a huge difference between them. And I know that whether in my heart, whose intentions are pure. And what I mean is who really cares, or who's looking to exploit the city for their own personal gain, or whether they really want to help. And I believe in my heart, Larisa wants to help. She has a proven track record of that. And Goldman has a proven track record of the opposite.
Okay, Lilia Lilov, she's asking, after this frauds in 2020 and everything you told us, you share with us, it's so difficult to believe in fair election in 22 and 24, or even an election in November with Sunny Isles. Larisa, yours. Yes.
So I'll take that. And thank you, Greg, for all the nice words. Very appreciated, and I appreciate all your effort and your perseverance all these many years. I just want to add that Greg has run twice before and has lost, and where most people walk away and just say, forget it, he hasn't. He perseveres, and that really is a testament to his commitment to the city and to doing the best that he could do. And so that kind of goes into answering that question about corruption and how can we believe. If we have, first of all, these sort of conversations, and again, Nick, thank you for putting this together and bringing this local news to the people. What we need to have is people paying attention. And even when and especially when bad things happen, when there is corruption, or even when there is a suspicion of corruption, it creates more oversight. So more people are involved, more people are looking. People didn't know that, for instance, at the polls, each candidate can request poll watchers to sit there and look to see if they see something happening that's wrong. So it's really up to all of us to get involved and pay a little bit more attention. And your viewers that are here right now, commenting and listening, that's exactly what we should all be doing. And I applaud them and you. So thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. And another questions from our viewers. Not to switch the parties, such positions should be dependent on political views. Their job is to take off the town and their citizens, not to fight against other parties' representative. But it happens, especially in Republicans' party. I see that Democrats, they just, like a stick together and protect each other. Even they see they have wrong and do something, horrible. But in Republicans, it looks like every Republicans just, do the personal job. Greg, tell us how it's happened.
They're all trying to get control, to have the power to do the things that they want to do. And there's just a tremendous battle right now between Republicans and Democrats, trying to find what could be the middle ground. And it's not going to happen right now. So you have, where years ago, where Republicans and Democrats worked much better together, they're always going to have their differences of opinion, because I believe in big government, someone else says I believe in small government, and we try to find that middle ground. Today, there's no middle ground. So there's, Trump came along and, that facade of, we're all getting along went away. And when things get too extreme, which is what was happening in this country, someone like a Donald Trump comes along and the thing blows up. And that's kind of like life, and that things kind of go along until maybe they get so bad that they get to an extreme. And it's similar to what happened in Sunny Isles with that unfortunate child that was killed. And now people wake up as to, we need more traffic lights, or we need this or that. People need an awakening. And sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes something terrible like that happens for people to get woken up. And so to many Democrats and politicians, Donald Trump was a terrible thing. They would have rather died than see him become elected. So you have this situation where the whole world, and especially this country, has been awakened to what's happening. And we're going to have an opportunity in November to make change, which will probably be another big swing. So when things go to an extreme, they tend to go to another extreme, and then somehow they find their way back to a normalcy.
I want to talk to you. You just mentioned not enough traffic lights, but Goldman mentioned not enough shelters. Yeah, for people who live on the street. This is the first one. But the second question is, do you agree with her or not, by the way? But the second question is, used to do Florida was a democratic state. Yeah, and it's still so many democratic mayors around us. And my personal opinion, I don't want to live in a democratic state. I just personally left from New York and then from Washington, D.C. to Florida. So many people left because of the economic situation, because of that mandatories and et cetera, et cetera.
Of course.
So tell us how not to turn Florida to democracy, the democratic state again, and what about the shelters and so that
Mrs. Goldman is a card-carrying radical liberal. Okay, Biden, whether it's BLM or Antifa, I believe she's there all in. So of course, that goes along with taking care of people in need is something that we all would agree to do. However, that doesn't mean that you make people cripples. So you give them that support to move from maybe a down part in their life to transition to something else. Welfare was never meant to be a way of life, right? And so even if you go to somebody who is considered a radical, Louis Farrakhan, what does he tell Black people? Do not take the money, go work. And so what makes him such a radical? Because he believes in, I'm going to rebel, right? And if you need to fight, go fight. But what he was saying is, don't be a cripple. Don't be someone that is just going to live this way. There are families that have become dependent on welfare from generation to generation. But Democrats want that. Socialists want that. Make you weak.
Radical left.
And
Yeah.
do not rise up. I'll give you a little bit so you can eat and you can sleep somewhere and you'll be okay. But just let me live the good life and I'll take care of you enough so that you can breathe and have enough to eat. Maybe.
Okay, a couple words about Russian society. I know so many middle class live in Sunny Isles, but still, so many Russian corruption live there. So many people who came from Russia and still, supporting Kremlin and get money from, and they want to control mayor in Sunny Isles. That's actually Larisa. Also, you can continue that. But first of all, I want to see what Greg said about this. I heard so many stories with Goldman and so loyal to that people. I mean, she is also corrupted. What can you say about that situation? Because I know they still want to be force some local laws and etc. etc.
I'm not really sure your question as far as Mrs. Goldman and local laws. So I didn't follow that.
I can explain. See, I said so many people, not like even not only middle class, but so corrupted people came from Russia. So they want to change situation in Sunny Isles because they have a lot of expensive property there. They want to have a mayor like a puppet mayor in Sunny Isles. That's my questions about.
Look, Mrs. Goldman, I believe, will sell Sunny Isles to the highest bidder, and that's corruption. As far as doing favors, she's promised enough people to get where she is. So she makes promises to whoever will support her, and that's dangerous. So we cannot trust her to be, someone that, what will she sell next, to get where she wants to go. And look, I've known Mrs. Goldman long enough, and I've heard her speak on certain situations where the woman is focused on her political aspirations. I've heard her say that out of her own mouth. So what does that mean? Do your political aspirations stop at Sunny Isles? If you're that passionate about politics, Sunny Isles is a stepping stone to where she wants to go. We don't need people like that. We need people that are genuinely interested in what's happening here or are going to do the work to make Sunny Isles a better place.
Okay, the good example, Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. She's not supporting even local business. She's supporting Biden agenda, and we know about that. Maybe Goldman, she's supporting a completely Biden agenda. She is going to do the same with the businesses, the Sunny Isles businesses.
That's 100% true. It's not an assumption, because during the last election, where was Mrs. Goldman? If you went to the polling place in Aventura, she was right there with the Biden people with Biden signs trying to make her inroads there. And obviously she has, because they all speak the same language. They have the same words. They have the same agendas, the way of doing things. So have no doubt as to who Mrs. Goldman is. And those of us that are speaking here today that have a more conservative view and want smaller government, she is not the person that we want. But she's the person that we have right now. So we have to work with her.
Yeah, we have to fight. We have to fight. This is only one solution. Larisa, just maybe you can add some information.
Sure, absolutely. I will say that, this is a great example of how important it is to have opposing views. So I support Greg on a lot of things that he says, but I just want to clarify. I understand the point you were trying to make, Greg, about fighting for yourself, but I think that Farrakhan is a despicable, horrible person, and I would never use him as an example. But I understand what you were going with that.
I went to an extreme to say that, because I wanted to make the point.
And I see that, and so here's a good example of how important it is that we have what Americans call guardrails. We have checks and balances, so that if you are someone with a lot of money, whether from Russia or from South America, and you want to buy an elected official like the mayor, the idea is that each person on the commission has a vote, and that those votes cannot buy, and it has to be a majority. So right now, what we have is the scariest thing possible. We have, like a cabal. We have these people that are voting together, so that if any rich Russian or Brazilian or whomever has made a deal with Goldman or any of the people up there, it looks now like they're all in on it. And whether it's true or not true, I always say that even when something looks like it's corruption, it's already bad. You have to work so hard to show people that you will never even let it allow, you will not, the perception is the reality. And when people stop believing in democracy and stop believing that their voice matters, that's when we start going down the slippery slope of losing our democracy. So I hope that we never come to a time where anybody can buy our politicians in sunny Owl's Beach. And I really hope it's not happening now. But I agree with Greg that it sure looks like the fix is in.
And Larisa, you mentioned about check and balances. I so hope the check and balances is still there, because sometimes when I see how the Democrats forces the law, how Nancy Pelosi said, you have 2,500 pages. Okay, just vote for that, and you read it after this. And I said there is no check and balances anymore, and there is not only in a big election. There is about everything, about each of us who live in Sunny Isles, who live in the other district and other state, pretty much the same situation, because we live in the one country. And what a Biden regime do it with us, it's horrible. It's really horrible. Okay, maybe I missed something in the end of the broadcast. Please say what you're not sharing, but you want to. Greg.
I enjoyed the broadcast and speaking. We had a lot of great points, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to everybody and learn more about my views. I hope they get out and vote on Tuesday, because that's what we've been talking about. If you want to make a difference, get out there and you vote. And if something I said kind of hit home to where you believe in me, I won't let you down.
We believe you. We believe you, and our viewers also believe you. And thank you so much for coming us. And we wish you good luck, Greg Carpa.
Thank you.
Sunny Isles Commission seats 3, and also Jerry Joseph seats 1. Just remember that, guys. They're very cool, and we wish you good luck. Larisa, your turn.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that after Tuesday's election, my hope is that Greg wins. And in November, after I win, I look forward to disagreeing with Greg many times on the dais, that we could really show that you can have these kind of conversations. You could be respectful towards each other. You can disagree because you're representing all the people. And whenever you see too much agreement, whenever you see everyone is just too happy together, you have to wonder and you have to pay attention. And I appreciate, again, your audience. And again, please, on Tuesday, don't just come to vote. Bring your neighbor.
Yes. Good
Bring
point.
your neighbors, guys.
Make
Yes.
a call. Make a call.
Yeah. And Alice Williams text you, I like Greg's common sense and down-to-earth views. Quite refreshing. Good luck in your next election. Good luck,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
And Tina S. also good luck. Good luck, Lilia Lilov. Thank you so much, guys. It was our broadcast with Larisa Svechin and Greg Carpa. Thank you so much. We wish you good luck. And Jerry Jefferson, thank you so much. And I think he's not being with us, but he's been with us actually. But he's camera weak. But we wish him as well good luck. Thank you, guys,
Thank you very
and
much.
see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
now.
Thank you.